welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, Stephen Stark, and joining me this week is someone who really probably needs no introduction. You've been around for quite some time, but it is Lady Gwyn of Radio Westeros fame. Hello, Lady Gwyn. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. I'm really happy to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm glad you were. I'm just glad you said yes. We had the other half of your podcast duo. I asked for the one to build up courage. I asked Yoke Boy first, but no slight to him, but you are the voice of Radio Westeros because there was a good bit of time where he couldn't do anything and you kept it going.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you to keep that going in his absence. And a lot of us love you for it because Radio Westeros has never put out a bad episode of anything.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to heap a little more praise on you. Then we'll start with some questions. Okay. I cannot remember if it was episode 1 or episode 2 when I found your podcast, but it was probably, I think there was it the Mercy chapter? And then that was your first episode?
That was one, yeah.
And you made that episode in response to the Mercy chapter coming out. Then that's where I found you.
That's it. And that was, I think that was at least 7 years ago. So
it was 2014.
Yeah.
I remember because I have listened to it a couple times. I think, it's short compared to a lot of your other content.
Definitely.
Yeah. I remember you saying you were starting this podcast to pass the time till Winds of Winter came out.
Yeah.
7 years later, we still don't have it, but you guys are still going strong. Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah. Still plenty of material that, every time we think we must be kind of getting to the bottom of the barrel. No, there's still characters we haven't, point of view characters we've yet to cover and lots of material yet to go. So not that we don't want Winds to come out, but
of course we all want Winds and all that extra material you have to go through will get put aside as soon as Winds does come out.
Yep.
But it's nice to know that you have it there. So I'll start with this question then. Why did you start doing this thing that we all know you for? Why did you start this podcast?
Well, that is a great question. Yoke Boy and I were friends. As you all know, at the time he lived in England, and we were just pals from Westeros.org. We knew each other from just posting together and chatting, the way we do, the way we all know each other from Twitter or whatever social media.
Right.
And we started talking about, maybe having an outlet to share more of our theories in a different format, because sometimes, on forums, if you share a theory, it might not go anywhere. It depends on the day. It might just sink to the bottom and nobody ever sees it or what have you. So we were just kind of seeking a different media to share what we felt like we had a lot to say about it. And Yoke Boy suggested doing a podcast. And at the time, I didn't really know what a podcast was. So I was just like, okay, sure, I'm up for anything. And, he was the, audio guru. So I let him take the lead and the rest is history, really.
Are you the primary writer then?
At times, yes. I think it kind of depends on the subject. Sometimes we have, we share writing back and forth in a particular episode. Sometimes I'll write the entire episode, and sometimes Yoke Boy will write the entire episode. Obviously, during that 1 year and a bit when he wasn't able to be with us, so I was writing all the episodes myself, and I enjoy doing that. So that's my strength. His strength.
Yeah, it's like you had that you're a writer in some capacity already, I would assume.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed writing. I've never.
I am not a writer. I'm a talker, which is why this format suits me so well. Miss Van Jones wants you to know that they were watching you earlier today, maybe yesterday.
Yes.
And they have the Song of Ice and Fire theories. The best place to put that, Miss Man, is on Twitter.
Yes.
Because then a lot of people get to see it.
Absolutely. I will retweet it.
I will also retweet it. Yeah, so but the timing of it with the Mercy chapter, I guess it dropped, and you and Yolkboy were already good friends through the forums, and he said podcast, and you said yes, and is it really just that simple?
More or less, yeah. I mean, I didn't know what a podcast was. I thought it involved video. So I was a little, kind of out of the loop. And actually, podcasts as a medium, we got in it at a very good time, because I want to say back then it was nothing like it is now. We were just kind of getting in at the beginning of the wave. So I probably wasn't alone in not exactly knowing what a podcast was. But yeah, it was really that simple, because we had probably 4 or 5 different ideas, different discrete theories or analyses that we wanted to share about that one subject. So yeah.
I guess that's what I love about y'all, your approach as well, is that the two of you really will, you'll slice the story in different ways, be that, and a lot of times that's a specific character. We just follow the one character and look at what they're experiencing. And I think it's something that nobody else was doing at the time either.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, you had various character rereads going on in different forums, but just to trace a character arc, which, initially we were a lot more theory focused, and episodes were probably more likely to be a loosely connected collection of essays. And then after, the first year or so, we really kind of drilled down into saying, okay, we're going to follow, as we do a character, we're going to follow them from, the beginning to the end, and still incorporate all those theories and stuff. But we really did, I think, improve our analysis methods, after the first, say, 8 or 10 episodes.
Is there something about that approach that appeals to you particularly?
Well, yeah, I think because, the characters in A Song of Ice and Fire are what makes it tick, in my opinion. And obviously the format with the multiple point of view structure. So, yeah, I mean, it just really lends itself to that. It's very easy to if you're doing a point of view character, it's very easy to pick up and, say, I'm going to read all the John chapters. I say that's easy. It's not really easy, but it lends itself to that. I mean, you obviously have John appearing in different chapters and stuff like that. But and we've done characters like Stannis, which was less easy, because you have to pick them out of wherever they are appearing.
Because they don't have their own POVs.
Yeah, but those ones are actually more tend to be, I find them challenging. So, it's a little more fun, because you have to, it's almost like a treasure hunt, find, just references that you might have forgotten about in somebody else's chapter, whatever character you're working on. So.
Right, because it's not just the chapters they appear in, it would also be the chapters they're even mentioned in.
Yep. And I mean, that goes for point of view characters too. Yeah, you want to see, what other characters or other people in the story are saying about particular person or topic. So, yeah.
Now, Emily's got a great question here on the side. What are your favorite video games lately?
Well, I play an awful lot of Goose Duck, which, if you don't know, is a game very much like Among Us. We do that in the Radio Westeros Discord.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot of fun to play in a group of friends. No video gaming experience necessary for that. And then when I'm not doing that or something else related to Radio Westeros, I'm frequently playing Game of Thrones Conquest on my iPad, which is just a online, role-playing game. So
okay,
yeah, that's
not a big gamer though.
No, other than I find it's something, I'll play video games with my family,
Sure.
when we're all together and stuff, but it's something I don't make a ton of time for on my own. If there was two of me, I actually have video games that I own that I would play if there was another one of me.
Okay, what's one you can't wait to play?
I have the third Witcher game downstairs.
Oh, Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I actually got that for Christmas last year. My kids have played it.
Okay.
I have not, but I will eventually.
Well, here's hoping, because it's actually a really good game.
Everyone tells me that. Yeah. My son is a very big gamer, and he's he loved it. And actually, when he lived with us, he does not any longer, but when he lived with us, we used to watch him play video games a lot. So watched him play through all of Red Dead Redemption, for instance. So
oh, excuse me. Coffee is good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about a different part of your origin story.
Mm-hmm.
The title of this series is I Know That Nerd. You don't come on a show like this unless you self-identify as a nerd.
Mm-hmm.
That did not start when you became a podcaster. It probably didn't start when you went on the Westeros.org forums. Mm-hmm. It probably didn't even start with the Song of Ice and Fire, if I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. No.
Where does your nerd originate?
Very, very early in my life. I've always been a bookworm.
Okay.
So from early on, I was reading anything I could get my hands on when I was very young. I read all my own books. I read my mom's books. She likes to tell people that when I was in second grade, I read through all of her Agatha Christie books. And her mother-in-law was a bit perturbed that I was reading Sleeping Murder at 8 years old, but it just started. I was a voracious reader early on, and I read comic books too when I could get them. I lived in a very
so was it comic books then, or was it like you're reading Agatha Christie? That's not genre storytelling, right. But
I was reading other things too. I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Chronicles of Narnia when I was a kid, probably. I don't even know. I still have the books that I owned when I was a kid, and they're falling apart. So I read them more times than I can count. And yeah, definitely comic books appealed to me. I read the very first She-Hulk ever published. I loved that.
That's awesome.
I loved that. And actually, so I had a friend that was a big comic book geek, and he had the first 10, and I was able to follow along with that. And then I sort of lost touch with some of that, but I was getting more into other series. Even by the time I was in probably 5th or 6th grade, I was reading Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So
on to the nerdy staples at that point.
Yep.
Miss Man Jones has a really good question. Says, if you could head any GOT house, can't be one of the Paramount houses, in a time of peace, which one would you choose? She likes Manderley. I have an answer for this too.
Yeah, I can't be a Paramount, huh?
Yeah, I know. This makes it tougher.
It does, because I'm a big House Stark girl. But Well, let's say maybe it would be I don't know, House Glover. I'm fascinated by that. I like the fact that they're where they're located. I think there's a lot of great stories to come about House Glover if we were to get them. Right there in the Wolf's Wood, and it's kind of my kind of place. So yeah.
I'm going to go with one of the, like, obviously not Martell, but put me in Dorne. That's where I want to be. I'm a hot weather person. I like spicy food. I belong in Dorne.
All right.
Maybe Dane. That would be cool.
That would be really cool. I'm regretting my choice. I feel like I'm a northern girl though, so yeah.
Jolie wants to know if you play Dungeons and Dragons.
I do not. No.
You do not.
No. I know Julie does though. On the Radio Westeros Discord occasionally.
There goes 30 of my questions I had prepared, but that's fine.
No. Another thing, actually, I will say that when I was a kid, I had the original D&D,
red box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And a couple of adventures that my parents had bought me for Christmas. But I lived in a really small town, and other than that one friend who was kind of a comic book nerd, I didn't have anyone to play with. And this, obviously there was no social media or anything back then. So I was sort of isolated. I actually played a lot of like rolling up characters and doing stuff like that when I was young, and probably tormented my mother into, sort of pseudo trying to play with me, but can't really play with two people. So
yeah, you can.
Yeah, no. So something that always interested me, but I never really got into it. Then I turned into more of a, haunting the basement of the library looking for good books because I'd read everything upstairs. So,
right. Jolie asked that because the Here Be Dragons sort of like hardcore community, like my regulars, we all play D&D together, like all the time.
And I think there's a fair bit of overlap with that community and the Radio Westeros Discord.
I think you are correct. I actually, I haven't done it. I'm one of those. I'm always the dungeon master. But I actually played with Jolie and Emily on the Radio Westeros Discord yesterday.
You did.
First time I got to play with them, but
awesome.
it was a great time.
Yeah, they have a good time.
Yeah. Emily is trying to entice you.
Oh, I will. I have dice.
Yeah, but having a set of dice that's like, I don't know how many sets of dice. I have metal dice. I have dice with Elvish writing on them. An expensive like felt line dice tray and matching dice bag. Yeah, you can spend a lot of money on D&D swag, so maybe it's best you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually have two sets that I bought for myself because I thought they were pretty, and I thought maybe someday I might play. But I was buying gifts for my son and my husband, who most of you might know, and he does play occasionally, and my son plays frequently. So, yeah.
Well, I recommend it to almost anyone. I mean, obviously, there are people who are not going to enjoy it for this reason or that reason. It's not their thing. But I love that the social stigma is gone, and anybody who's creative and likes storytelling, it's you should try it.
When I was a kid, and am I probably dating myself, but I was very interested, like I said, in D&D, and around that same time, there was this made-for-TV movie starring Tom Hanks.
Oh my God. Mazes and Monsters, one of Tom Hanks's very first ever acting gigs. And it's not just a bad story with bad ideas behind it. It's a badly made movie.
It's bad. But even at the time, however old I was when that was made, pretty young, but I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was ridiculous. So yeah, like cautionary tale.
Yeah. Whereas these days, I know people whose therapists are telling them to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. Big difference.
Big difference.
Whenever that was.
I went through the satanic panic. I mean, I played D&D for the first time when I was 9 years old. Anyway, but you know what? Let's shift the conversation away from that. It's not a thing you do. Yes, you're right. A lot of the swag was gifted to me. Mom wants to point out, this is my real mother, by the way. She's one of the regulars here.
Hi, Mom.
And I don't want to be antagonistic towards our guest, but my mom is better than your mom. Oh. It is known throughout the entire
she's the best mom.
Throughout the Here Be Dragons, she is like mom to us all, and we love
awesome.
her. But she's my real mom, you know what I mean? Anyway. So yeah, you came up through comic books and reading and into Lord of the Rings. What was it about A Song of Ice and Fire that, because it sounds like this was the game changer for you?
Kind of. I mean, I will say that prior to that, I had worked in bookstore for about 10 years. And I pretty much read every, well, maybe not every, but because there's an awful lot. But I read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, and that's always kind of what I gravitated towards. Although history is a big thing for me too. I have a degree in history, so I read a lot of historical fiction. I did not know that. Yeah, so that was kind of my, what I was interested in on an academic level. But fantasy and sci-fi were always my definitely my favorites. And as a bookseller, I was a kids bookseller, so I probably read every. At the time that I was doing that, I probably read every fantasy series out there for kids. And just kids' books are great because you can read them in a day. So right. I could read an entire series in less than a week. And it's always that sense of accomplishment. But really, I worked in kids' books when Harry Potter was first published. And I worked in a bookstore that was the first stop in J.K. Rowling's first U.S. book signing tour.
Oh, wow.
So I was always, and I managed the children's department by then. So I was always at the dead center of the Midnight Madness parties and all that kind of stuff. So kind of being in a fandom, even though I had been, a fan of that sort of thing for most of my life, that's probably about when I really experienced being in a fandom.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a great series. I have not read the books, so I'm dyslexic. I don't do a whole lot of reading. I do listen to stuff. But and I'm not terribly dyslexic. It's just reading can end up being a chore for me.
Yeah.
So I save it for stuff I really want to read. I've not read Harry Potter. I've seen the movies. I find them delightful. I love the extent, like it does what a lot of other series do that people love. Things like Star Wars and The Song of Ice and Fire. It doesn't just build the story around the characters. It builds a whole world for things to happen in. And you can imagine so many other stories in that world, which I think makes it lets the kids imagine something beyond what's just given to them in the text or on the screen.
Yep, definitely, 100%. It was. I think that. Even though I was an adult when that was all happening, I think that there probably are a lot of people in our fandom who were kids at the time. And thank you, Emily. Who grew up with Harry Potter and then moved right into A Song of Ice and Fire. I've kind of taken issue sometimes with George R.R. Martin's kind of his attitude towards Harry Potter, because I think he I think he's moderated this, but in the past he's made some comments where he's somewhat scornful of it, but I think it took him some time to realize the value of putting something like that in kids' hands and really sparking their interest, their dedication, their devotion to reading a book series, and how that actually worked for him, because those kids came along and gobbled up his series and many, many other fantasy series after, they were introduced to the world reading from Harry Potter. So, yeah.
I think that's probably right. A lot of the older folks came to it through probably Lord of the Rings is their entry point.
Yep.
But Harry Potter is that entry point for a whole generation of kids. And I love George, I really do, but he's got some bonehead ideas about some stuff so far.
Well, he was mad because J.K. Rowling stole his Hugo Award, so
well, it'll be all right.
But I think he's gotten over it in the years since, and he probably does. Somebody probably said to him, "Hey, you're slagging off the people who are reading your books right now. You need to." Yeah, so he's moderated.
Yeah. Just a quick one from anime lover Nicole. What is your Hogwarts house?
100% Ravenclaw.
I would have said Ravenclaw immediately. I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Puff Pride.
That's good.
But yeah, I had you pegged as a Ravenclaw.
Yeah. I would take those quizzes, and I would want to be a Gryffindor, but I'd always come up Ravenclaw, and after the first few times I realized, you have to embrace that. Yeah. So
right on.
Definitely Ravenclaw.
Here's a good one from Emily. She says, you've done some cool cosplays over the years. What's your favorite one you've done so far? And what's one you would want to do if time and money were no issue?
Well, my favorite one was Catelyn. Although I think I would redo that. I actually would redo my Catelyn cosplay and probably add a bit to the costuming. Although I think it was a pretty good costume. I'd do something different with the hair, maybe a wig. And my friend Emily is an adept wig stylist. So
okay.
So that's a
good to know. I love cosplaying too. I generally will cosplay a character that has long hair and a beard, even if that happens to be Lyanna Stark.
Yeah. Well, I often do characters that have red hair, which is what led me to Catelyn. And my first foray into I think I had a good costume, but I used my own hair, which was fine, but I think it might be more impactful if I had a crazy, Catelyn wig.
Right.
Yeah.
Mrs. Duncan the Tall, also known as Cece, lovely lady. She wants you to know that she has listened to your Dunk episodes like a million times, and she's the biggest fan.
Thank you. Those were great fun.
You can tell her yourself, Cece. She's right there.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. I love those episodes.
And Miss Man Jones got another one. What would your sigil be?
My sigil, well, I'm going northern, and I'm going to tell you I use a blue rose on social media and in the Discord, and I think that my sigil would be a blue rose on a white background.
Okay, blue on white. Good choice.
Yep. Fits my Ravenclaw aesthetic. It's
right.
Well, yeah, and my Lyanna Stark. I don't want to say obsession, but she's,
Mine would be a green 20-sided die with the one facing up.
Very good.
Yeah. I do like the question, Miss Man. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got stuck into Harry Potter really as it was coming out. And I'm not in the Harry Potter fan community. What was that like when because you said it was the first thing that you maybe got kind of rabid about?
Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it was, a lot of, wasn't a lot of online stuff because I had people all around me in the bookstores who were, in the same, in basically have the same mindset. So I had lots of friends who were really into it. We had so much fun planning book release parties. There was these from the third book on, it was a midnight party, every time a new book came out, and those were beyond fun. That just sort of feeling. The last book came out, and in my bookstore we had 800 people.
Oh wow.
And we had readings and crafts and trivia contest, which was amazing. All kinds of activities for people, and people dressed up and cosplaying, and it's just great.
So okay, who's your favorite Harry Potter character from the trio, and then who's your favorite from outside the trio?
I want to say, probably Harry, although book 5 Harry was a little twit.
Okay.
But as a that was when Harry, teen, just being a teenager, really hit him hard in the 5th book. So but still at that point I was a mom, and I was like, God, stop being such a jerk, Harry.
When you have teenagers, you never look at those stories the same way again.
Yeah. So and then outside, I really love Professor McGonagall.
Okay.
She just takes no poop from anybody. So.
Yeah. Portrayed by the fantastic Maggie Smith.
Yes.
I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's good. Yeah. So
Matthew Dominique assumes that your favorite region in Planetos is the North.
Yes. Even though I live in the North, so I guess I don't have aspirations to be anywhere else. So other than as a tourist. So
right.
It is. Yeah.
I live in the northern part of Texas. But yeah, it's nice to have another House Stark loyalist on the channel.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who love the Stannis or love the Targs or whatever, give me some Stark loyalists up in here.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I'd say my favorite characters are my top 5 characters have to be all Starks. So
I don't know if all 5 of my favorite are Starks, but like 3 of them at least.
Mm-hmm.
I've done 3 or 4 different cosplays at we'll go with 4 different cosplays at Con of Thrones. Never the same character twice. A Stark every time.
Yep. I've done a couple. I did Melisandre, Red Woman. So well, we'll see. I'm not going to spoil it because I'm going to probably be doing a Targaryen at the upcoming Ice and Fire Con. So
yeah, the one that I most want to do that's not a Stark, don't know enough about him to even properly do a cosplay, but I want to do a Lomas Longstrider cosplay. That guy's awesome.
That guy is awesome, and let your imagination run wild. I think when you know less about them, it's almost kind of like you can do whatever you want.
If you could read a prequel book in the A Song of Ice and Fire world, which would it be?
Well, yeah, if those are the choices, I think Melisandre's backstory.
A Melisandre origin story would be wild.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Finally see if Yoke Boy had it correct.
I told him this when he was on. That is my favorite fan theory. That isn't a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good. And if you don't know what we're talking about, I forget which episode it's in, but Yoke Boy presents a fantastic argument for Melisandre being the daughter of Bloodraven and Shira Seastar. And
I love it. Yeah.
love that theory.
Yeah. I do too. And it may not be
why
a
you
slam
married
dunk,
the guy.
but yeah. But it's very well laid out. It's got all the hallmarks of a good theory, if I do say so. I didn't write it, so I can say that.
Oh, how about a Maegor cosplay? That'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh.
I thought of doing a Theon Stark cosplay where I carry around heads on a spike on a spear with like a 7-pointed star carved in its head. That would be fun.
Eek. Yeah.
Okay, where do I have to look to find this theory? I believe it's in the Melisandre video.
It's in the Melisandre episode, but you can look at RadioWesteros.com, which will link you to either the episode, the YouTube, or there should be a written version of it that you might be able to find in our essay section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to necessarily out him, but Matthew Dominique is young and new to the A Song of Ice and Fire fandom. As a young man, so you got some catching up to do to get back where those old dogs are. But
yeah, well, welcome. You poke around in that website, you'll probably find a lot of
Radio Westeros. Like to me, it's always been Radio Westeros, History of Westeros, and like Joe Magician. Y'all are my three solids the whole time. I love everything you guys do. And so there's your homework.
Yeah.
Do I or Radio Westeros have a Tumblr? I do not. We do.
Really what actually that theory might be on our Tumblr too, because we used to put a lot of essays out on Tumblr, and I'll tell you that in the last 2 years all we've done is really just post our episodes. So you see a long list of our recent episodes, and then if you go far enough back, you'll find a lot of our written theories. And
I did not put that link in the description. I do have your Twitter, I have the Radio Westeros Twitter, and I have your YouTube channel. And if you go to their YouTube channel, there's a links tab on their channel.
All that stuff. Yeah, or on our website, you can find links to all of our various social medias.
Yeah. But go back and watch that. But my personal favorite episode you all have ever done, actually I think it was a two-parter, was the Battle of Fire, the Battle for Marine, where you did like real-time reporting, even like a real radio show might do. And I loved that. I loved that so much. Yeah,
that was great fun. That was Yoke Boy's concept, and really, our partner in that episode was Brendan B. Fish, and the concept came from, remember when they used to have embedded reporters back in Iraq or Afghanistan, and it was a very new thing in the early 2000s. Of course, by the time we did that episode, it had been around for a while, but that was really what the concept kind of was. It was, what if there were a couple of reporters embedded, one in the city and one outside the city, and I, of course, was the presenter in the studio, and we just approached the whole thing like that, and it was so much fun to produce that episode. Yeah.
Also, some love for the Quiz of Ice and Fire episodes too. Those were a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah, we had great fun with those. We had lots of great guests, and it was always a good time for us to do those. We actually paused that series, and we've been doing live streams more or less instead, with over the past couple of years. So, yeah, we'll still do quizzes here and there, though.
Well, the people remember, and the people still love it.
They're still there, too.
Jolie says the Long Night episode was her first, and she was hooked. Jolie has a channel called All Hail the Night's Queen. She is a Night's Queen enthusiast.
So that explains that. Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Jolie, yes. Good friend of mine, plays in my D&D games. I play in her D&D games. She runs D&D on your Discord server.
She does. She does that. Have that game going. I think that's the Saturday. Is that the one you played yesterday, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Emily says, can you tell us anything about the shift from doing essays/forums to going to a podcast, and how and why did you and Yolkboy decide to try it? So we talked a little bit about that, at least how and why at the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
answer as much or as little of that as you want.
How and why really was just because the forums were not always that. It just wasn't always that rewarding to post things on forums. We weren't big Redditors. We were, more in the Westeros.org forum. And, there was a lot of, I don't know, just the way it was set up. Like I was saying before, you could post something and maybe 10 people would see it. And then, 10 more posts would come in and yours would get pushed to the second page. And it's just kind of a roll of the dice, whether you got any traction with something. So,
Reddit, not my format.
And that wasn't really our format either. We started out thinking we were going to have our own individual websites, which we did. But, we wanted to really be able to more present it to people rather than just put things on a blog and leave it at that. So I feel like it really combined both of our particular talents too. So
yeah. To have the sort of natural writer and then the natural engineer come together on that. Yeah.
It
works well.
Yeah.
Do you find in the process of making an episode that, I mean, obviously you guys have done this for a long time now, and I imagine you have it down to something of a routine even about how you go about it. What's the biggest challenge you still face?
Getting started. I guess it really depends on the subject matter, though. I mean, sometimes, there's so much that things kind of can write themselves. But it's always, we start with an outline, and I'll share something with you. Our next episode, well, we're about to release the final episode in our Winds of Winter Primer series, which is all about Daenerys. And and after that, our episode that we have planned is of Kevin Lannister. And
oh boy,
yeah, and
what a nice man.
There's loads of material on Kevin, and he's a point of view character. He's got one chapter, and we've done episodes about all the prologue characters. So why not the epilogue characters? But I don't know, getting started on that, because his point of view chapter comes at the end of his life. So for me, it's a lot of sort of like sitting and thinking about, how do we start with this? How far back do we go? And
I got the exclusive scoop.
That's it. That's the scoop. I don't think we've told anyone else yet. So.
You heard it here first. Wow. Well, yeah. I look forward to it. Kevin is a terrible person, and I can't wait to hear you talk about him.
Yeah. We did a Tywin episode a long time ago, and we were supported by a friend of ours from the forum. And because he had done some really great writing about Tywin that was not complimentary, and I kind of loathe Tywin. So
what's not to loathe?
I don't think I'm alone in that, but that was an interesting episode to write. I always say that the one episode we ever did where I could not muster one single ounce of empathy for a character. That's something that we always try to do, and we've found empathy for an astonishing number of characters, including Tywin.
Yeah,
people
sure.
that, but the one person that I had zero empathy for was Balon Greyjoy. So I'm not a Greyjoy fan, although I do have loads of empathy for Theon. And
sure. Even, as you say, even characters who are generally unlikable, you can still find reasons to empathize with them.
I found a shred of empathy for Ramsay Snow.
Wow,
that's
a big stretch.
It's a thin thread, but it was, it's whenever you look at somebody and you see, some sort of, horrible childhood story in their background, that's where you get that shred of empathy. I mean, obviously it fades quickly if they allow that to define them rather than overcoming it. But Balon didn't even have that because his father was a pretty decent person, as far as we know.
He just wanted to be an ass.
He just wanted to be an ass. Yeah.
John, my normal co-host, John Webster, has a good question. What is the origin of your use of the name Lady Gwyn? Do you love a particular version of Arthurian myth?
Yeah. Well, the origin of my use of the name Guinevere is that my real name is Jennifer.
Okay.
And when we were, years ago, when you first were, email was a thing, and believe it or not, it was not that long ago. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
I remember.
There were, and my last name was fairly common as well. So there were just a million people with my name, whether it was my initial and my last name or my first name and my last, whatever people did for their, and I didn't want to be, blah, 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 number 10 million. So there's something that I love about my name, and that it is an Anglicization of Guinevere, and I figured, why not roll it back and just do something completely unique. No one will ever steal my email handle. I'll be able to use it everywhere, and pretty much that has held up for all these years. Although there was a brief period where someone took Guinevere at Gmail. I was very aggravated by that, but then it became available again. So.
Mom says, please tell Yolkboy that nobody in Texas says BBQ. We all say barbecue. Apparently it made her laugh when he called it BBQ.
Well, very literal. Yeah. They don't have barbecue or BBQ in the UK. So.
Yeah.
We're teaching
the food is better here.
Yes.
I love this. Jennifer 464.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, something along those lines.
It would have been, yeah.
So a couple of my regulars had questions for you. They couldn't be here live because people sometimes have to work. But I got a question for you from Micah. The Warrior of Redwall. Micah Clark. Y'all probably know who that is. I know you know who it is.
Yeah. Sure do.
Where is the question? There it is. Which are the A Song of Ice and Fire minor characters that first got your attention? You'd had to know minor characters was going to be in the question somewhere.
I did. So I've already had 30 seconds as soon as you said Micah of thinking about minor characters because I knew. Okay, so my very first favorite minor character, and Micah probably knows this, was Jorah. Not Jorah, sorry, Jory.
Jory Cassell.
Jory Cassell. Yeah, and still, I think Micah might think that Jory might not be minor enough, but Yolkboy used to call me the queen of minor characters because we'd be we'd be writing something, like when we did our North Remembers episode, and that was pulling together all of the, everybody, what everyone is up to, and all the different potential players and whatever plotting may or may not be going on. And I think when I said to him something about Lawrence Snow, and he was like, "Who the hell is Lawrence Snow?" I'm like, well, he's the bastard of the Hornwood, and he's just like, how do you remember that stuff?
Right.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So yeah,
Micah has spreadsheets.
I do too. Actually, way back in the day, before I had a podcast, I was very active in two particular sort of threads of discussion on Westeros.org, one of which was the RLJ threads, which I participated in daily for about 3 years, probably. Made a lot of friends there, and maybe made some not so friends too. Those threads could be pretty vicious, as I'm sure you can guess. But the other ones were the GNC. There was a good long series of maybe a 5-part series of GNC threads, and I did a GNC locator, which was a spreadsheet of every single character related to the North and where they were at the particular time, where they were last seen, that sort of thing, allegiances and all that. So yeah, I can relate to the drive to make crazy spreadsheets. That is probably still linked on my website, as a matter of fact. That one. Yeah.
Miss Man Jones, I think he just left, but we're going to ask this question so he'll be able to find it when he comes back to finish. If you could give Rhaenyra one piece of advice during the dance that she will follow, what advice do you choose? He thinks it's a good idea to tell her to show mercy to King's Landing.
Yeah, that would be very good advice. Yep. Mine would be probably I'm going to assume that Miss Man Jones is already giving her that advice and she's going to follow it. But I would follow up on that by telling her to use her dragons. Rhaenyra was altogether too scared to use her dragons, particularly during King's Landing. Although if she was showing mercy to King's Landing, maybe my advice wouldn't be as relevant. She should have, hopped on her dragon and gone and saved the dragons from the storming of the dragon pit. It might have also saved her son in the process.
Right.
Yeah.
The people have a lot of interesting questions today. Dancing Sean, aka Sean of House Beard. How would Lady G, I like that, Lady G, characterize levels of characters? Do you agree with the way he puts them?
Yes, probably. Yeah. Sometimes we might have debates about who's secondary or tertiary versus minor.
Right.
And I would even, there's a level below minor, even minor, or we have like appendix characters.
Right. That's a minor character.
That's a minor.
Yeah. They're not appearing in this story.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would agree with what he said. We definitely have your primary point of view characters and your secondary characters like Stannis and Tywin and Jorah and people like that.
If you will indulge me for just one moment, I just want to thank you. Appreciate you.
Very nice. Yes.
I watched it myself. If you could change one death in the Song of Ice and Fire, which one would it be? This character still has to die, but you change how it happens. Either the character suffers less or more. Okay. Because that does change my answer. If I could save one character, I'm saving Ned. Sorry. I just am. Maybe that's selfish, but I'm saving Ned. Because that might change. So that changes. His death is the motivation for so much that happens in the book.
Yeah.
But he dies quick too. Could be a lot worse.
Yeah. So they still have to die, but they die differently. Huh, that's hard.
That is tough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pick somebody whose suffering I want to alleviate. How about Barbary Dustin? Or no, I'm sorry, not Barbary Dustin. I'm thinking of Danella Hornwood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. That is a very good one.
And we'll just make it quick and clean.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think when I realized that that her fingers had been flayed and that she didn't just eat her fingers because she was hungry, the way Lewin and Bran reported it early on.
You're right.
That really. Oh boy, yeah. Well.
Yogi through the moon door says, "Can you have Joffrey die an even worse death?"
Yeah, I'm thinking, because I was going to say, Ramsay's still alive. I expect he's going to die, but I don't think it could possibly be bad enough not to be, just, sticking on the same subject as Danella Hornwood. But
right.
I'm sure that whatever George comes up with will be pretty horrible, but probably would like it to be 10 times more horrible. But I'll go with Joffrey, although he was a kid. So.
Do you find that reading A Song of Ice and Fire has made you more bloodthirsty?
Yes and no, because oddly, it's also made me more empathetic. And I think it's the seeing through the character's eyes. I think it's the multi-point of view structure. I found that after reading it, even just the first time, I felt like I was much more likely to, even in real life, look at something through somebody else's, and put myself in someone else's shoes. So there's something about that, the narrative structure that George uses, that I really do think makes you just a little bit more in tune with getting outside your own experience and looking at it through different eyes.
Okay, I want to expand on that idea, but what I have to say is going to take a long time, and I want you to take that trip with me. So I'm going to save it till after we do the mid-roll break. So should we just do the mid-roll break now?
We're close.
We've been at this almost an hour already, so this is usually when I remember, oh yeah, we're on YouTube. You're supposed to tell people to like and subscribe. So like and subscribe, please. There's no telling what we do week to week here on Here Be Dragons. Sometimes we're having conversations about this piece of media or that. Sometimes I'm talking with other great content creators. Next week, John and I are having a bit of a debate, and Nessie's going to be there to keep us both in line so we don't go nuts. But next week we are having a discussion that goes something like why canon matters and why it doesn't. So we will be discussing what canon means to us and what the ways in which we think it has impact or does not have impact on what we read or consume, whatever medium we're getting our content from. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. I don't know what we're doing the week after that. We're in the middle of several series. We're doing we've been showing some love for some animated series. We've been doing animated Star Wars. We've been doing Avatar: The Last Airbender. I really want to watch Shang-Chi and talk about that movie. Everybody says it's great. So
hear so much good about that.
Yeah. But yeah, we've also been watching What If. So we'll get back. I'll get back to you. We don't have it pinned down yet. What are you guys working on over there on Radio Westeros?
So right now we are working on that Daenerys episode, which will be actually sometime this month, before the end of the month. That'll be done. Nice. And that's the 10th installment of our Winds of Winter primer, which basically we've gone location by location. So wherever you've got a group of characters bunched up, whether it's, in the north or we've done every single kind of location. This is the first one I think we've done that's just going to really focus on one character because she's the only one there. So it should be interesting. And once we're done with that and the companion live stream, on to Kevin and get some other good ideas to finish out the year too. So
right on. Looking forward to it. No matter what you give me. I don't always get to listen while you guys are doing the live thing. Saturday is like the one day where I don't have a whole bunch of stuff stacked up, so it becomes my day to do other stuff.
Yep.
Housework and laundry and what have you. But I'm an avid consumer of your product, my lady, and I do enjoy it very, very much. I'm looking forward to all that stuff. I got to make sure I shout out my patrons because those guys are awesome. They include, but are not limited to, our High Council, including our Alpha patron, this gentleman right here, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, our first ever patron, still going strong. We love you, buddy. He is backed up by the rest of our High Council, including Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sixto Sounds, aka JP the Axe Grinder, and the lovely Lady Leaf Underhill. And they are assisted by the lords and ladies of the realm, who are Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, and Arch-Maester Emma. Thanks, guys, for all you do to keep the channel going. You make it so I get to use StreamYard, and you guys pay for it. Thanks. Link to our Patreon is down in the description. Links to Lady Gwyn stuff down in the description as well. There's something else. Oh yeah, I have a second channel. It's called Here Be Games, where I play video games. This I play on Thursday nights. I might be increasing that at least for a few weeks. I just want to get going, and I'm starting a new game this week of Fallout New Vegas, one of my favorite video games of all time. Way more action-y than what I've been playing. So it's a sort of a shooting RPG set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and it's a lot of fun. So come watch me play games Thursday night on my other channel, Here Be Games, link in the description. Okay. Now I totally lost track of what we were talking about. Somebody in the chat is going to remind me, though, and I will get back to the question that I wanted to ask.
Come on, chat.
Yeah, chat. That's like, I pretty famously don't have a great memory. So
I know I'm kind of a bit of a squirrel myself.
Yeah, shiny. Well, I take an anxiety medication, which has an effect on my memory sometimes. And it was never good to begin with. So, yeah. I was going to ask you, and it was going to be so smart, too. What were we talking about right before?
Compassion? Oh, is that? That's, yeah, maybe. Aaron says compassion for characters.
Yeah, about being compassionate or bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember. Oh, well.
It was going to be long, too. They all remember that.
I wanted because it was going to get philosophical. God dang it, I should have written it down. Okay, but don't not what I was going to say. What were we talking about right before that? Like immediately before that?
That was what we were talking about.
Probably going to be lying. That's why I can't remember, right?
Yeah.
If you could wipe one house off the map entirely, which one? Maybe one great house, one minor. Wow, you seem bloodthirsty, right?
Yeah, bloodthirsty. A minor house that I could wipe off the map. Not really that bloodthirsty. I wouldn't mind, wiping off most of the Greyjoys. They're not that they're a minor house. We're going to do a major house. Trying to think of someone who just seems utterly useless.
Yeah, I've seen some love for or hate for House Peak.
House Peak. Thank you.
Hightower's ain't
Sarah,
great.
that would be, yeah.
Bolton's not great. Like, that's the thing about A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, who's the worst? Well, there's this person, but there's also that person, but there's also
like
that
the long
person.
history of worse, horrible. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Bolton would probably be one too.
Oh, thank you, Aaron. I remember. Aaron makes you look at things through different eyes. So what I wanted to ask you is, so it has markedly changed the way the A Song of Ice and Fire, the story, and the fan community. Probably the fan community, more than the story itself, has changed the way that I look at the world drastically. I understand the things that women face in the day-to-day world and the way that systemic sexism keeps women oppressed. And like, I can go, that's internalized misogyny right there, in a way that I never could have done 5, 6, 7 years ago, because the really smart people in this fan community are sharing their perspectives. And that's not something that I had. Look, I live in Texas. Much of my upbringing was very sort of standard white Christian conservative Southern. It took me a while to become more aware of the issues that other people who don't look like me face in the world. But in this fan community has been one that doesn't shake its finger and say, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. They say, here is this other perspective that you never had access to before. And it has literally changed my viewpoint. Not that I was ever, a real misogynist or a real racist, but like blind to the systemic nature of some of these things. Do you feel like this is a different type of fandom from others that you've maybe been adjacent to? Do you feel like the A Song of Ice and Fire fandom just hits different, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I definitely think it does. I mean, it's obviously a niche within a niche. So, it's a small slice of humanity, but I feel like it's cosmopolitan in the sense of, people from all over the world. I mean, we have made friends with people from, literally all over the globe. And
there are people in the chat right now who I know who are from Denmark, from Germany, Australia, Canada, all over the US, the UK. Like, you're right. It is an international fandom. And there's so many different walks of life. But what do you think is something specific about A Song of Ice and Fire that draws that type of person in, maybe?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's probably, some to a large extent what I was talking about, how, if you're going to feel deeply connected to these books, you probably do appreciate that, seeing the world through somebody else's eyes, and that kind of empathy is a very important part of, being an evolved human being in the 21st century. You really have to be able to look out there and see.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for the very philosophical. Yeah. Yeah. But yes, definitely. I think it's the structure, the structure of the novels that draws a certain kind of person in.
Because I mean, I've been in this fan community for quite some time, and you have as well. And you get any group of people large enough, you're going to have your people who try to come in and gain clout so they can throw their weight around or whatever. We know who we're talking about here.
Yeah.
We don't need to name them. If you want to know, DM me on Twitter and I'll tell you, but I'm not going to go public with it. But for the most part, I find that the caring nature, generosity, and like the desire to build someone up and to share your knowledge and your passion is like, I've been in fan community, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Wars, certain animes that I've fallen in love with. Nobody can touch the A Song of Ice and Fire fandom.
Mm. If I may.
Of course.
I think, and I don't know because I haven't been a part of those fandoms really, although so you mentioned Star Wars, I forgot to mention that when I was a kid, that was, first, Star Wars trilogy time, and I was a huge fan, and I had all the little action figures, which I wish I still had because I probably have lots of, yeah. But I think a lot of the fandoms that you mentioned are largely male.
That is accurate.
I think that Song of Ice and Fire, they're, obviously still maybe majority male, but there are a lot of women, and a lot more women than you would find in other fandoms. And certainly now a lot of female content creators kind of making their mark there too. So I think that lends, to it just being more not that men can't be welcoming, but if you have men and women, it's going to be definitely a more all-encompassing, welcoming community. So, and the age range, that is absolutely a great point, because I have friends that are, in their 20s, and friends that are 20 years older than me. So that's a pretty huge age range. And especially, we go to a convention and you're talking about an age range of 50 years. So that's,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that there's, I'm not trying to out anybody, but I bet there is a over 50-year difference just in the chat.
Yes, probably.
That, I don't know. I can never heap enough love on this fandom. I've seen it too many times. Again, you get your bad eggs every once in a while, but at this point, the bad eggs have mostly revealed themselves and gotten the hell out of the way. So, yeah. So let me ask you this. So you worked in a bookstore for 10 years, and now you are a professional podcaster? Well, if you got the job that you wanted when you were 6, what would you be today?
When I was 6 and 7 and up until probably pretty far along into my teens, I wanted to be an actress.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll put you in one of my movies.
Yeah, I always, that's what I used to, act things out for my parents and write scripts for things. And yeah.
Were you a drama kid in high school?
My dream. I was a drama kid. I never got the leads though. So, I was very deeply shy. So I had serious stage fright. So I would try out for something and, I'd be absolutely terrified. But on the stage, like during the actual performance, not so much, strangely enough. So I found the tryouts very painful. But then on stage, when the lights are on, you're not so bad.
Yeah. One of my favorite things I ever did, I was not in like drama class. I was a choir kid, but I did join a extracurricular theater group, and that was a lot of fun. I can tell you that it is not my thing to do going forward, but I had a lot of fun doing it when I did it.
It is fun. That's a kind of a group that you get, you get very closely connected. It's something I've got 2 kids, and I'm always encouraging them to get involved with a group like that, like do drama or something like that. Neither one of them are athletically inclined, so I'm trying to find that and help them find their space in some sort of a group or community.
If I may,
my recommendation. Yes.
Play D&D.
Yes. Well, I can mention my son is he's a big D&D player. So he did kind of find his niche there. So.
Yogi's got another good question. If you could pick any role from the A Song of Ice and Fire books, who would you like to play on the stage production of A Song of Ice and Fire?
Oh, it would be Catelyn.
Of course. Like, I think you make a fantastic Catelyn too.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I kind of hear Catelyn with your voice now, and I always hear you saying, "Not my hair. Ned loves my hair." I don't know why, but when you said that in the Catelyn episode, I feel like it traumatized me enough that it became
traumatized me,
stuck in my brain.
Yeah, that was that reading was very, very traumatic to do at the time. I want to say how long ago that was. 6 years. I was the mother of a teenage son at the time, and I put every ounce of the sort of method acting I could muster into that reading, because I really just put myself in her shoes and put my son in Robb Stark's shoes, and God, it was awful. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Although your daughter has achieved some level of fame, if only by saying spoilers all books.
Yeah. The spoilers all books kid. Yeah. She enjoys that fame, I think. She's a lot older now, so.
Yogi says, based on your appearance on Girls Gone Canon, you'd make a great Lysa as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like, Kat's the better character, the more interesting character. I'll take you as Kat any day.
But I could play the crazy redhead as well, so the good mom redhead, or the.
Emily says that when you play a mongoose with Lady Gwyn, she'll say that to make you not murder her.
Oh.
But look, I'm a dungeon master. I kill people. I kill people all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody cut that out of context and just give me that audio, me saying I kill people all the time. I want that.
It was hard for me to kill people when we first started playing those games. But then I discovered that I actually like it. But I am very good at acting the innocent. Yes, I agree.
I met Kate Dickey too. She's awesome.
She's great. From what I hear, I know she's been at some of the cons, and she's a really great, fun person. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to step on her toes.
Again, so when I started doing this, I Know That Nerd series, it started as a way to like continue the conversation that I'd had with some of the content creators I had met at conventions. So it really was people I had actually met in real life. And I'm like, I know that person. I want to get to know them better. Not just their A Song of Ice and Fire stuff, but like them, the bones of a nerd. But COVID, and we would have met in 2020, April 2020, if not for COVID. It is what it is, but I had to open it up, and I'm really glad I did. I've had some great guests since then. You were one that's been on there since I decided to like go, okay, I need to reach out to people, because I kind of had everybody already who I had met in person. But I'm really looking forward to meeting you next April at Ice and Fire Con. Fingers crossed, everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, me too. I mean,
do you have a favorite con moment? Because those are the greatest weekends. Like they really just are the best con weekend. Do you have like a moment from a con that really stands out as one of your favorites?
God, they're just so fantastic. I can't say enough about Ice and Fire Con, which just every minute of it is fun. Except for even the 4 hours of sleep I get a night are probably pretty good. So I don't know. But I think one of the high points, there's so many high points, but for me personally was doing the Good Guy Rhaegar panel with Shea from History Westeros a few years ago, and that we just had such a blast doing that together, just the two of us. It was enjoyable. It was a great topic. We had great response from our friends. It also happened to be the first panel of the convention, and yet it's just like, wow, what a kickoff. So definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
But so many more.
You can't go wrong if you say Ashea. She is known as the best for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
She has been on I Know That Nerd, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
Where was that question? Oh, this is a great one. Would you prefer? Oh, by the way, this is Dancing Sean, aka Sean of House Beard from. Well, he's got his own channel now. You got your own channel where you've done some stuff. I know you did the boys coverage and whatnot. Used to be over on History of Westeros, though. But he wants to know: would you prefer 3 more Dunk and Egg books next, or Winds of Winter?
Sean.
I know. That's a tough question for me.
Yeah. I probably want Winds of Winter slightly more. But I really want more Dunk and Egg. So I was, happy not too long ago when George said something about that indicated that he might release a Dunk and Egg book in between Winds and Dream. So it had previously been off the table, but who knows? Maybe we can have both, but not Winds first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Winds first, but I'm also going to tell you, Dunk is my favorite character George has ever written.
Mm-hmm.
I love that big stupid man so much. So if we got 3 Dunk and Egg stories, I wouldn't be mad about it. But if you give me a choice, I am going to ask for Winds. Could he tips the scales if he said 4? Maybe.
It depends. Would it then, would we just get 4 Dunk and Eggs and then Winds of Winter, or do we have to wait another 10 years for Winds of Winter because
we already have.
Yeah.
Oh, Matthew, I don't want to. I see your question. I'm going to throw it up. I don't know that I want to go down this road. I'm still optimistic. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, I am.
I don't want to stir a pot of crap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people arguing about whether or not the book is going to come out.
I know, but I'm very optimistic.
But yeah, I try to remain optimistic. We'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. I'm an optimist by nature, so.
I also know that Jaded Redhead Kelly, she likes to ask. I think she's at work today. She's couldn't be here live, but I know the question she likes to ask. She likes to ask, "What's the best concert you've ever been to, and what's the worst concert you've ever been to?"
Oh, good question. Well, I'll tell you something about myself. I've been to like 80 or 90 Grateful Dead concerts.
Okay.
So it's very hard for me to, and I've seen lots of other concerts too. It's very hard for me to pick a best out of that.
80 times.
Yeah, so I'd
Grateful
say
Dead is your jam then, huh?
Yeah. But it would probably be, maybe even my first Dead concert, just because it opened my eyes to something, and it was kind of similar to being part of the Song of Ice and Fire fandom, or really any fandom, because it was a group of like-minded people who are passionately interested in one thing that brought them all together, and very, very unique. So probably my first Grateful Dead concert in.
She's actually here, just listening.
Hey,
but how well do I know you, Kelly? Because I know you always ask this question.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the worst. That's. I hate to say it, but I think the worst concert I ever saw was Bob Dylan in Springfield, Massachusetts, about 30 years ago.
I can sing any song in Bob Dylan's style.
I do actually love Bob Dylan's songs, but this particular concert was, I think he's notorious for being up and down live, and he was very down.
I think Bob Dylan is a great songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
He was never a good singer. I'm sorry.
Although weirdly, even though he's probably my worst concert, he was the opening act of the first Dead show I ever saw, which I ranked as my best concert. So make of that what you will.
Okay.
Dylan and the Dead, good combination. But
Mom says a lot of what you're saying is resonating here. Do you consider yourself a recovering perfectionist?
Yeah, probably. I don't know how much I'm recovering. I'm a very organized person in my real life. I actually struggle with that.
With letting go. Organized?
Yeah.
with not being able to just let good enough be good enough. Yeah, exactly. My mom is that way. You know, the joke is she's got a spreadsheet to keep track of her spreadsheets.
Yeah. Well, I am a fan of spreadsheets, and in my work, in my real job, I am known for my spreadsheets.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you about your real job. You can talk about it if you want, but yeah.
No, I like my job.
Some people don't. Yeah. Some people come on here and they do want to talk about what they do for a living. A lot of y'all don't, and that's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, we've been going for an hour and a half. We've got maybe 30 minutes left in this conversation. You've had some great answers to stuff too. I've really thoroughly enjoyed getting to talk to you. I guess what's next? Like, what have you been watching lately? I guess that's not A Song of Ice and Fire. That's getting you interested. Has there been a series maybe since the TV show ended that you've really fallen in love with?
Yeah, I've watched a lot of great television in the last. I mean, probably like everybody else, especially in the last year and a half. But yeah, since the show ended. If you haven't seen this show Dark on Netflix, do yourself a favor and watch that.
I've heard a lot of
I was ready to just throw everything over and just do a podcast about Dark because it's so good. It's such a great story and really fascinating and great music. I just can't say enough good about that. Kind of mind-blowing if you love that sort of science fiction, which I won't say too much about for spoilerific reasons. But I also am a big fan of The Witcher. I am looking forward to the next season of that coming out soon. I've watched it several times, read the books, listened to the books. I'm a big audiobook fan.
And have Witcher 3 waiting on you.
And I have the video game. So yeah, it's definitely something that I enjoy being immersed in. And finally is The Last Kingdom, which I started reading those books with the first book. Whenever that came out, I was still working in the bookstores back then and followed along, probably read the first 7 books as they were published, kind of lost track of it. And then they made it into a show. And boy, it is a great show. Another one I can't say enough good about. My friend Egg in the chat is doing the Bebenberg war cry. We share a love of The Last Kingdom, and we have a dedicated Bebenberg thread in our Discord where we love to chat about the books and the TV show, and it also brings in my love of history. It's a period of history that I have studied a lot and feel like I knew a lot about. I've learned a lot more by reading these books. Bernard Cornwell is undeniably one of our best historical fiction writers. He writes, especially in terms of conflict, he writes battles better than anyone else I've ever read.
I appreciate that a lot, actually. I was in the military myself. One of my biggest things is like, go watch our Star Wars, the Clone Wars coverage, and I'm like, get behind the rock. The rock is right there. It's covered. Get behind the rock. You said flank them, and then you ran straight forward. That's not flank. Like, I get it. Like, and finding a writer who knows what they're talking about, how to describe it well, I think I would enjoy that a lot.
Oh yeah, he's great, and he's written many series set in different time periods, and he seems to really nail the method of combat. Whether he's writing about Agincourt, in the 100 Years' War, or these Anglo-Saxon stories, or actually to complete an answer that I failed to answer earlier, he's got an Arthurian trilogy too, which is probably one of my favorite Arthurian stories. And he just always seems to nail whatever period he's writing in. So.
Well, while we've been talking for the last couple of minutes, a lot of great questions have rolled in. So I'm just going to start working my way through these. Have we covered favorite breakfast foods yet? We have not. Got a favorite breakfast food, Lady Gwyn?
Currently, it is avocado toast with either blueberries or sliced peaches and hot honey.
Okay.
Very, very
not what I would
specific.
Choose,
yeah.
Not what I would choose. I hate avocado, but it just means you can have twice as much.
Yeah, there we go. I'll take yours.
Emily wants to know, what is your favorite obscure or lesser known book recommendation for fantasy folks?
Interesting. Obscure, huh?
Or at least lesser known.
Lesser known. I think there's so many good ones, and I'll probably think of a bazillion of them. I mean, I was a bookseller for all those years, and definitely have lots of books floating around in my head. But off the top of my head, I am going to say this Sabriel trilogy by Garth Nix. It's a teen series, but it is hands down one of the very best world building stories I've ever read. So Sabriel, Lyriel, and Abhorsen comprise the main trilogy, and then there's some other books that come after it. But Garth Nix, an Australian writer, who was also a lovely person.
Nice.
And yeah, so.
Matthew Dominique asks 3 favorite movies. John Webster Film says favorite movies. P.S. Love your profile icon. He is specifically referring to your Twitter icon.
Yeah.
Because John is kind of famously the most obsessed with Keira Knightley person in the world. He runs the Knights of Keira Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, he loves that. That's Keira Knightley as Guinevere, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that movie, by the way. If we're talking about Arthurian canon, I mean, I just pretty much read or consume anything Arthurian. Sadly, there aren't a lot of good movies out there, but that is a pretty good one. I tend to like the ones that try to drill it down to more historical, putting it in its historical place. As far as favorite movies in general, I hate that. I think I should have been prepared for this.
No, I like it off the top of your head. You never know what's coming.
Yeah. I have seen so many great movies in the last probably 5 years because my husband is a real movie buff. And I don't know. I like the movies that get me out of my comfort zone, where he convinced me to watch Alien and Aliens, which I never would have done because I don't really enjoy horror.
They're so good. I'm not a horror fan either, but they're very good movies.
Yep, and I was very grateful to him for forcing me to watch them. Now he, I take his recommendation about almost anything. Actually, we're big. He's a big Stanley Kubrick fan, so
I would never want to work with Kubrick, but I love what he does.
Yeah. We've seen most of his movies. Matt, I'm sure, has seen all of them, but there's a few I haven't seen. Notably one that I won't, but
right. Yogi asks, have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?
If you mean the TV show?
Yes, the animated
TV show, yes. Yeah. Not sure I've seen the entire thing, but I used to watch it with my son when it first came out. Yeah. And I've watched some of it with Yoke Boy. I think we watched the first season or something together. So something that we're making our way through.
It's not a question, but Erin says you should spoil yourself on Witcher 3 and look up the 5 choices you have to make for the happy ending, so you don't invest 175 hours into it to have Geralt. I did it again. Geralt die in a hut crying at the end. Okay,
so that sounds like personal experience.
Yeah, this is literally
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that advice. Yeah.
I'll take that advice. All right, combing through for other questions. People are responding to the fact that I hate avocados.
Yeah.
All right, I think maybe we got caught up on questions there because I'm not seeing it anymore. Potter, I'm going to put this up on the screen and make you deal with the shame that comes from asking this question.
I have to confess to knowing nothing about Howard the Duck. Maybe the shame is mine. I don't know. Thank you.
No, it's not. So do you know the movie Howard the Duck? Are you aware that it exists?
I am aware that it exists, yes. Yeah. That's about it. That's the extent of my Howard the Duck.
That's all you need to know about it. It is It is objectively a bad movie. Objectively a bad movie.
Okay. So, yeah.
A more serious question is, have you heard the good word of The Expanse?
Yes. I just finished reading the first book.
Oh.
About to download the second. I am just getting back to the Bernard Cornwell. I'm currently listening to the 13th and final installment of the Last Kingdom books. So I will soon be bidding farewell to Uhtredsen and picking up the second Expanse novel. And we had started to watch the series a while back. For some reason, we stalled out after a few episodes, but I think that having read the books, we're going to have a lot easier time getting into the TV series.
The show, even people who love the show, when they're trying to sell it to someone, will pretty famously say, get to episode 5 before you make a decision, because there's a lot of world building and it takes a while to ramp up.
I definitely have heard that, and I think we got to episode 4, and it wasn't like we hated it. It was just we kind of stalled and maybe started watching something else, and put that on the back burner. And
it's cracked my top 5 shows of all time. I love that show unabashedly. Awesome. So it's my recommendation too. Have you read The Wheel of Time? Have you seen the trailer? And if yes, what are your thoughts? Okay, so I will start. I have not read it. I have not seen the trailer. I have no thoughts.
That's pretty good. I have read the first 3 books. I read the first 3 books maybe 10 years ago. I felt like after the 3rd book, there was it felt almost like a natural ending. I decided to treat it as a trilogy and move on with my life. At the time, Brandon Sanderson was still writing. That you didn't know when it was going to end. Was it going to be 13 or 14 or 15? And I just thought, I don't have time to invest in another mega series like this. So I just let it go. It hadn't grabbed me enough to keep me on board for 10 more books or 12 more books. Haven't seen the trailer yet, though. I hear that even people that aren't really huge fans of the book series are impressed with the trailer, and I will certainly give the show a try. Give it a try. You know, it's because it's in my wheelhouse of things that I usually like. So,
Potter is sort of our resident Expanse enthusiast. He just wants to make sure you read the novellas as well.
Okay. Yes.
They do really great world building. My favorite is The Churn. It's really really good. It's everybody's favorite, but yeah.
Okay. Noted.
Sean wants to know about your Dune expectations.
I'm so glad that he mentioned Dune, because when we were talking about favorite movies before, I was going to mention how much I absolutely, how much I am looking forward to Dune. I really loved. I might be in a minority here, but I loved the original Dune. I'm a big David Lynch fan, and so is my husband. And I know he disowned that movie, but we actually enjoyed it, and loved the book too. Just read it this summer. Kind of read half of it a long time ago, and for some reason never finished it. But I picked it up again, read the whole thing this summer, and really loved it. So this movie happens to involve a lot of people that I really enjoy. So looking forward to it. Actually, we're already making plans with friends to go see it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I was never a huge fan of Dune. I mean, I understand it from sort of like an intellectual level, what the story is trying to say and what its larger themes are about. It did not catch me as a younger person. But you just show me Oscar Isaacs and Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa and Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. That cast is pretty.
And Dennis effing Villeneuve, as Sean Webster says in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, to that. Yeah.
I think I did say that.
Dune, meh.
about the book itself.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, obviously, I felt that way too for a very, very long time, because I read half of it and then was just like, worms. I don't know, sandworms. I worked in a bookstore, like I said, for years, and I would see Dune on the shelf and people going crazy for it, and more books. I had no interest in it really, but funnily enough, it was watching the David Lynch movie not that long ago that made me think I better actually read this book, and see what this is all about. And definitely need to read it before the new movie comes out. So,
yeah. Well, and you're glad you did.
I'm glad I did. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're moving towards the end now. We've got about 15 minutes left, and I've got a couple in the chamber that I like to save for the end. But everyone in the chat, if there is a topic we have not touched on yet, and there's so much we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about music barely at all. We found out you were a Deadhead, which is great. But like, I have two questions that I like to kind of throw at the end, just to be something a little more fun and weird. First one, is a hot dog a sandwich? Oh man, clearly I've struck a nerve with this one.
No.
It's not.
No.
Defend your position.
But I don't know what it is. It's not between two slices of bread. That's my definition of sandwich. But it is in a roll that, I might almost talk myself out of that, because you get a submarine sandwich, and that's not really two slices of bread either. So, oh boy. No, I don't know what you'd call it though. So it's a sausage.
Okay.
I can't put a sausage in the sandwich category.
Okay, fair enough. Like and Aaron is right. That look was so great. I have a request to show off my T-shirt real quick, if you will indulge. I'm sorry. Is it Absitz? I don't want to butcher your name, but yes, I will show off my T-shirt real quick. It is a Miles Morales Spider-Man. We did a conversation recently about Into the Spider-Verse. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I loved it. Loved it. How many individual lipsticks do you own? I know you possibly like to custom blend.
You're right about that. Custom blending all the way. I don't know. Dozen, maybe.
A dozen.
I think of probably at least 12. I think I have every color of the rainbow. So, and then different iterations of various colors. I favor blues. So, blues and purples.
Okay. Good choice. Yeah. Good colors. Favorite film score?
Oh boy, scores. Gosh, I don't know. It would probably be something John Williams-y. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to say something with John Williams, right?
Yeah.
There are many fantastic composers out there. Howard Shore is one that comes to my mind as well, but nobody defeats the great John Williams.
No. But which one? I don't know. Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
Yep. Lord of the Rings is great. Oh, Cassie, Reflective Rambling asked this earlier. Do you have any favorite audiobook narrators?
Well, it's funny because we were talking about Harry Potter before, and you said you hadn't read them, but that you mentioned that you are an audiobook listener, and the Harry Potter audiobooks are read by Jim Dale, and he's fantastic. I mean, I think his voices really became the voices of the characters for me, and yeah, I love him a lot. And then I'm just going to look at I'm just checking a name. Jonathan Keeble. I don't know how I could forget that. Who reads a lot of, among others, Bernard Cornwell's books, and he's fantastic. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably couldn't tell you anybody who's done narration that I've listened to. I got to be honest with you. A lot of my content is not. I'm either watching it. If I'm listening to something, it's history, it's philosophy, it's not that kind of story. You know what I mean? Not that kind of book.
Yeah, right. I like Sasuke's Harry Lloyd. My dream would be Harry Lloyd reading A Song of Ice and Fire. Not a fan. I know it's somewhat polarizing, but I'm not a fan of the current Song of Ice and Fire audiobooks.
I think this is might be our last question, so that I can hit you with my last question.
Okay.
Any thoughts or hopes for Hot D? We only call it Hot D around here.
Why wouldn't you?
Right, because that's the correct way to refer to it.
Yeah. Thoughts and hopes. I hope it's good.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think we all hope it's good.
Yeah. I think, they have an opportunity, and they have some really good people working on it. So,
I mean, fingers crossed. And it could be great. It really could. They have great cast. They have great, I should say, behind the scenes people.
The showrunners and the writers. And yeah, I mean, they've got a really good team. And their filming locations happen to be my favorite place in the universe. Most of the filming locations are in Cornwell.
Okay.
Which, if you have not been to Cornwell, highly recommend it. Beautiful. If you like beachy kind of wild places. So
I do.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I was listening to a video about early Phoenician visitors to Cornwall last night. Mm-hmm. It was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place I would love to visit.
Yeah. Love it. So
I usually like to wrap up by asking my guests the following 3-part question. We're going to make a movie about your life. Who should play Lady Gwyn? Who should direct the movie? And what would a good title be for a film that is your biography?
Well, I mean, it's going to be Keira Knightley.
You two do practically look exactly the same.
Yeah, not really.
Like Keira Knightley, Natalie Portman, Lady Gwyn. I get them mixed up all the time.
Yeah, and director, huh?
Do you have a director who you think could maybe put a unique stamp on that story?
Taika Waititi.
Nice. Nice. It would be fun. I mean, it would be hard, but it would be fun.
Yes, exactly. That's it. And what would we call it? I don't know. That's the tough one. What would we call it? I don't know. It'd be something. There's already a world of her own. I think that's some.
You know what? We'll call it A World of Her Own too.
I don't know.
And everybody gets the sequel.
I do very much live in my own sort of world sometimes.
But it'll just be TOO.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I would watch it.
There we go. A universe of her own.
And you know what? While we're at it, I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a curveball. Who's playing Yoke Boy in this movie?
Oh, that is well, since it's Taika Waititi, we're gonna go with Jermaine Clement. Why not?
Okay. Hey, I love me some Flight of the Conchords. I love Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, I do too. So why not?
I like this. A Lady-O and a radio in Westeros. A universe of her own.
Yeah, like that. Why limit yourself to the world when you can have the universe?
What we do in the Shadow Babies? That's good. Oh, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, somebody's asking, do I watch What We Do in the Shadows? No, but it's on the list. It's high on the list even. I'm on a YouTube channel where I cover a lot of content.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very high up on my list.
Same. I'm stuck on having to watch the movie first.
They say you don't need to.
I know you don't, but I do.
Okay, they don't, but you do.
I'm stuck on that personally. So I don't know. I don't know why. So yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I don't have any other questions prepared. This was a fantastic time, by the way. Great conversation. Had a lot of fun. This is the chat's literal last chance. You got like 1 minute. If somebody, the next question I see will get asked, and then we'll go to the end. But yeah, Lady Gwyn, is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I'm really happy to be part of this community. Happy to be here, and it's great to talk to people about things that we mutually love and and consume, but also learn about new things. I learn about new things from my friends in this community every single day. So Can't say enough about it for expanding your horizons, being part of a great community like the one we have.
Yeah, and not just learning new stuff, but genuinely fantastic people who are sharing that knowledge with you.
100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't see any questions from the chat. So, you know what? I do. What is your quest? I mean, we were speaking about Arthurian stuff earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you feel about that movie? Is it an Arthurian tale?
I guess, you know what? Yes, because the search for the Grail is the search for some sort of enlightenment in a way. And I'd say that, you know, something that I seek is enlightenment, but also, you know, a better world, more kindness. Be kind to your brothers and sisters and love each other.
I'm here for that. Like,
that's my quest.
No better quest in the world. Look, I'm a Hufflepuff, as I said earlier. Like, it's pretty top shelf stuff, if you ask me.
Yep, 100%.
All right, y'all. Well, I think we're going to call it there, though. So you guys know who Lady Gwyn is. You guys watch Radio Westeros already. But if you, by chance, are here because you came through my fan community, then by all means, go subscribe to Radio Westeros, one of the best, like, there are dozens and dozens of A Song of Ice and Fire podcasts out there. Easily top three Radio Westeros. I don't want to, make anybody angry with trying to put them in number one. And you get it. Easily top three. I love what you guys are doing over there. And you've always been not only great at what you do in the with your content, but in the fandom space as well. You've always been so kind-hearted. So yeah, it's been a real pleasure having you, Lady Gwyn.
Thank you.
I guess that's it. Go check out Radio Westeros. They got stuff on Dany coming up. They got stuff on Kevin Lannister coming up. So that's all going to be good stuff. Come back here next week to watch me and my co-host John and my co-host Nessie argue about whether canon matters in storytelling or whether it doesn't. Spoiler alert, I think it does and doesn't.
That'll be
have the nuanced view here, you know what I'm saying? But it's going to be a really fun conversation. We've been doing a lot of coverage of animated stuff lately. We're probably continuing that trend just because we're having a good time with our animated shows. But yeah, next week, same bad time, same bad channel. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you did that. That's how the YouTube thing works. See, we're starting a week early, apparently. It doesn't matter.
Get ready.
I think it does. It's going to be a good one because we don't agree. Anyway, that's what's going to make it a great conversation. But yeah, everyone, thanks for coming, chatters. You had some great questions, and I really appreciate everyone who was here live. If you're watching this later, we appreciate you as well, just not quite as much. We like the live people better. Be here live next time, and we'll like you better then. Yeah, one last time, thank you, Lady Gwyn. It was a genuine pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me, and thank you to all your listeners in the chat who were so kind and asked such great questions. Thank them for being here.
Yeah. You all just got personally thanked by Lady Gwyn. All right, y'all. So that's it. We'll see y'all next week on Here Be Dragons. And until then, you know what it is. Peace and be excellent to each other.